What's up, everyone? My name is Thomas, and I am the head of AOE Creative, and today I have some wonderful panelists with me. Some you may know from different social channels as well as different networks. So to my left, I've got Davis Hitch Edwards. Then I've got Ron Rambo Kim and Nick Beall from Esports Locker. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves a little bit and tell them how they got into content creation and what they do.
What do I do? Check. Hey, can you hear me? Yes. My name's Davis. I started out in esports doing videography and making a documentary series. Then I transitioned into YouTube videos, and now I'm doing streaming. So I did a little bit of everything, and yeah, that's me.
Hello, check. My name's Ron. I go by the alias Rambo. Ron Rambo Kim's my name. And my story, I guess, started here in Dallas. I'm pretty much a Dallas native, went to high school here, and competed in my first tournament like 1999, 98 here in downtown Dallas. So that kind of launched me into competitive gaming, and I was a professional gamer for about 7 years. Worked in marketing for about 3 years, and then the past 3 years, I've been a coach. So, yeah.
My name's Nick. I started in esports back in April, actually, was when I got into it. But I have a long history in broadcasting. So I did graphics in sports for a long time. And through that, through networking and meeting people, I was able to meet Corey and some of the other team members here at the stadium and got my foot in the door here.
Cool. So you guys all come from different sections of content creation, and what kind of motivates you guys to create content and upload it or post it or share it with an audience?
For me, it always starts with an idea. So an idea, what do I want to share? What's the message I want to teach? Or how can I help people? So it always starts an idea. I forgot to mention too, I also create videos on YouTube. So that's what I've been doing for the past 5 months. So it's fairly new. So as being a former professional player and coach, I love the challenge of how can I teach people get better at video games. So it always starts with an idea, whether that's how can I help people handle their nervousness better, or what's a good routine to warm up your aim, anything to help them get better in a competitive aspect. So it always starts with an idea, and and then I brainstorm on it, and I sit on it as long as I can and try to figure out all the ways I can package this into a video in the best way I can, and to help them with that. And so yeah, it starts with an idea.
I'd say for myself, it started out with telling stories. I grew up watching esports, so I was like the second generation where everyone started playing video games competitively, and I was one of the people that started watching and wanted to get involved. Wasn't good enough to play, so I had to figure out a different way to do things, and mine was to tell the stories that I wish I was able to watch when I was a fan of esports. So I went in and made some videos and did some behind the scenes content, and people really seemed to enjoy that. So,
Davis, was there anyone that particularly motivated? You said you were in that second wave of content creators. I know early on, were there any specific names that motivated to make that jump?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, late high school, early college, I watched Scump, Nadeshot, Midnight, Hex. I watched all these players make their YouTube content, and then they moved into a house together, and so that was pretty much my motivation into they're doing something that is really awesome, and I'd love to know what it's like behind the scenes. So probably those guys.
Yeah, Hitch was a really big inspiration for me to get into gaming, and it was kind of really interesting seeing what that behind the scenes action can happen with these guys, because they got some pretty interesting lives. They get to travel a lot and do a lot of cool things. Ron, you've traveled quite a bit. How has that impacted your motivation on sharing what it's like to be an esports player competitively and then coaching?
Well, the cool thing about traveling and competing is you get to see parts of the world I would have never had without the opportunity for gaming. And now we see more tournaments more than ever. You can go to a tournament. Now you have to actually turn down tournaments because there's so many and plan out like a routine or a regiment for the whole year. So yeah, being able to, I think the fun part is being able to compete versus other people in the world, you know, preparing for these events and then seeing what you can do. How good have you gotten? You know, where are you at? And then stylistically, all the matchups you have versus all these other opponents, it makes the game really interesting. And then networking too. I've met fantastic people, you know, face to face, people that I've talked to online, and creating those connections.
Nick, you said you started off in the traditional sports sector working at Fox. Was there any particular motivation you jumping from traditional sports to esports? I know you're new to the esports stadium and you seem to be having a blast at an esports locker.
Yeah, absolutely. So all through college, so I started at Fox in high school, actually, and that whole time I was a big gamer. The people I worked with, you know, they would go home and watch ESPN or Fox and watch sports, where I would go home and I would watch YouTube and Twitch and people like these guys putting out great content. And the whole time I knew I wanted to get into gaming. And it was just a matter of, you know, keeping motivated and trying to find that opportunity. So when I was able to find this and meet the people here, it was, you know, there was finally that opportunity after 12 years.
You guys, along with Joe, create some great meme content on Twitter, which, by the way, is fire. Ron, you coach a lot. You present to your students or your viewers almost. You treat it like you're a teacher to them. You provide them a lot of information. Have there been any like online coaching individuals that you've kind of looked up to in how you're presenting your information or what you want to present it or how? Or has it kind of been on your own, like, hey, I'm just going to do it?
That's a great question. I mean, everything that I know is from learning from something else or someone else or reading something or learning some other perspective. And then for me, the biggest motivator for me is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's the one that kind of lit the fire and got me started and like kind of pushed me past that point where something that I've always wanted to do. So he was a great inspiration. But I mean, there's other people out there like, I study philosophy, it could be golf teachers, it could be, you know, all sources of information. And then, so yeah, it's hard to pinpoint one, but I think if I had to pick one person, Gary Vee, if you're looking to get into content creation, check out his YouTube channel, he's a fantastic resource.
Yeah, so being a part, the esports landscape has a lot of different ways you can get started in content creation or be a part. You can transition from being a pro player into a content creator or a content creator like streamer or just randomly uploading your clips onto social media. So this question is more geared towards Davis. How important is it to be a part of an organization, or do you need to be a part of an organization in order to succeed in the space?
The quick answer is no. You don't have to be a part of an organization. My story is kind of unique because, you know, Optic at the time was such a close-knit but thriving you know, scene. But there's a lot of people that join huge organizations and then you never hear from them because you don't know what you're getting from that org. I've always geared more towards like the family, tight-knit, close group of people within an organization. But I mean, there's plenty of people out there that just did it on their own. I mean, you look at some of the biggest names out there now, like Tim the Tap Man, like he's never been in an organization. So it's like you don't have to join one, but if the opportunity makes sense, if you think you're gonna go in and be a part of something bigger, then yeah, of course it's something that you need to look at.
Yeah, Ron, you previously have been on, as a coach on MVP in Korea, and then in Complexity, you came back here to coach CS:GO, and then on Cloud9. How has filming and working with content teams and producing content with esports organizations a lot different than your own? What is your kind of take on it?
Before I answer that one, I just want to add on to what he said about do you have to work for an organization? I think if you're a beginning creator and like you said, you have an opportunity to become part of one, I think you should definitely take it because you'll learn so much working firsthand with people that have been in the industry. You'll learn techniques, you'll learn the process, and you'll absorb so much information that it's going to help you if you eventually want to become an individual content creator. For myself, I have all this history as being a professional gamer and stuff, so I have that experience that I can kind of that feeds my content creation. But after coaching, I started my own YouTube channel, and I did it by myself. And it was a tougher learning experience because I had to teach myself video editing, what audio is, how to sync video camera and all this stuff. But it took longer, but I'm glad I did it that way because I also taught myself firsthand how to do it. And that was also a great experience. But if I could go back in time, I would definitely work with a professional, someone that's done there and been there. And that would definitely help speed up the process.
Awesome. Nick, how is it different, working for a production company and creating esports content around a venue in the area of Dallas versus just the traditional Fox and traditional sports?
Yeah, so this is more focused on, so Stadium, we focus on the big events that are happening here and providing content around that, whereas Locker is kind of the behind the scenes aspect. And I think Fox Sports kind of, in traditional sporting, they kind of do both. Whereas we are kind of split between two channels for that kind of thing.
Cool. So this is more of a question towards Ron and Davis. Does the success of a particular game kind of dictate the success of your own content, or do you feel like your own personality and your own characteristics is what drives your content?
I think when you're a content creator, it does help to have a theme or a game that you can rely upon. So if I'm teaching a certain game, then if the shelf life of that game certainly has an influence on how prolonged I could stay with that content creation. So, but I think even if people like you and you're being valuable and you're putting out good content or you're being entertaining, you can transfer those skills to any other game. So it's not so much reliant on a certain game, but more of your ability to create content.
Yeah, I think it's definitely how you can adapt to games. I mean, obviously with Fortnite coming out, it exploded so many people's careers, and the top people still bank on that game, but some people couldn't do it. And the streamer that comes to mind first for me is Summit. He didn't like Fortnite, he didn't enjoy it, couldn't fake it. So he just started playing games that nobody else was playing, and that's what happened with Sea of Thieves. He started playing Sea of Thieves, and in no time he was pulling 25,000 viewers just because of his personality and showing off a game and making it entertaining. So I think it's a little bit of both, but it's definitely how you can adapt to certain situations.
Yeah, it's this kind of adapt or mentality of just the entertainment industry as a whole. I think streaming in general has been a big kind of product of, you see a lot of influencers rise because of a certain game, and those that maintain it thrive in that environment. I mean, you've kind of got your start in Call of Duty, but now I see you working on more IRL stuff. You guys are launching big campaigns around here, for example, the Movember thing. That's a little bit outside of your ballpark, still COD, but you guys are bringing that out. Has there been any kind of other motivators for you in terms of stepping out of Call of Duty for you?
I mean, obviously we're always trying to broaden our reach. I'm focusing less on myself individually, and now I'm doing content with two other people and people that I've known for 10 plus years. So whenever I go into any sort of move, I always think about those two guys and how it's going to affect them and their families and everything behind the scenes there. So eventually, I love Call of Duty. I'll always love it, but I do eventually want to feel comfortable enough to broaden those games, and we got to figure out a way to do that. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, the Team Summertime community seems to support you guys no matter whether it's Minecraft or some random game. They're always supporting you guys, which is great to see. Ron, Counter-Strike seems to be your bread and butter, but you've been recently had the opportunity to test the new Riot FPS. How do new games coming up, do they get you excited for the opportunity to create new content around it, or what is your kind of thoughts and feelings about what could be the next Fortnite or the next big title?
Yeah, I think my genre of gaming specialty is FPS, or first-person shooters. So any of those type of games is where my professional experience is. So if there's any game that comes out that I feel like has a chance to be mentally challenging and stimulating, and it has like good rules and good game balance, and has potential to be like a game that has a high scaling gap, that players can play competitively for long periods of time. Those are the games that interest me. Those are the ones that are the most challenging to figure out, and those are the ones, yeah, are entertaining, and also comes with the challenge of trying to teach people that game too. So yeah, those are the ones that always pique my interest.
Nick, you generate a lot of content in terms of different, to different communities. What has been one of the big things you found from, having to adapt your approach to the Smash community or the FGC community versus the Call of Duty versus your Counter-Strike? Do you have any insight on that?
I mean, you just have to know the audience that you're going for. Like with Team Summertime, the Invitational, we had our content focused around people that enjoy Call of Duty, right? Same with when we do Ultimatum and stuff like that. You just have to know your community and focus your content. You don't have to focus your content, but you just have to know what your community is.
Yeah, you have to just kind of like get into that meme culture, understand what the audience will react to or get a reaction out of them, which is always great. So there's a lot of students in here that are aspiring to be either content creators or work in the content creation space, or generate content through different media platforms. What is one piece of advice that you guys would give them, starting from Nick?
So from my point of view, I would say don't lose insight of what the goal that you have. Like I told you, it took me 12 years to get into esports. That was my goal. And it took a long time, but I wouldn't be here if I didn't keep grinding and network with the people through different jobs. I met people at Fox that connected me with people at a news organization that I went to, and I met them, and then I got in doing stuff with GameStop TV, and then from there, those people connected me with people at Esports Stadium. So I would say just keep your head down and keep focused on the goal that you have.
Yeah, so I would offer two pieces of advice. One is finding your identity when you're creating content, and I think you can break that down into two segments or categories. One is, the ultimate thing is you're trying to provide value. Like when someone watches your content, it's either to two major categories, or entertainment or information or educational. So those should be like your North Star. How can I provide value in one or two of these categories? And then honing your abilities to do that. So taking feedback. So when you create something, embrace the comments that are coming in. And some people may have a tendency to kind of just shield that or ignore that, but take that in and make yourself better, fine-tune your process. And then the second thing is, for me, if I could say one thing, is as a content creator, I think don't let fear get in the way of creating content. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that maybe, for me, it took me 10 years to get to this point where, to create content and put something out there. And there's always this sense of like vulnerability as a content creator, because when you put something out, you're sharing it with the world, and it's like there is this anxiety that comes with it. But what I would say is try to get past that fear, and don't let that stop you from creating content. And once you start putting stuff out, as you get better, as your process and systems get better, as you're getting feedback and you're improving, you start to build momentum, and you start to build a community, and you start, having people there that appreciate your content more because you're getting better at it, and that'll snowball, and yeah.
I guess I have two. I don't really know what I'm going to say. I really have no idea. But I guess I have two pieces of advice. One is obviously to make sure you're as valuable as you can be. I was basically addicted to making this a career in any way as possible. I was uploading YouTube videos. If those weren't working, I was doing videos for other people. I was filming. I was selling pictures. I was selling videos. I just wanted to be involved in esports any way possible. And I feel like there's always, if you're not good enough to play, if you're not entertaining enough to be an entertainer, then there's always something that you can fit into, as long as you find your outlet and go for it. A little bit more of a harsher piece of advice is, if you are a content creator, what I always tell people who says, I can't get my views up, I can't get my stream numbers up, is just to to go over your past content and watch it as if you weren't yourself, which is really hard to do. It's hard to sit back and say, how would, just a random person take in my content? And if you can't make it, I mean, a lot of times I did it with myself, and I was making 5-minute videos and I couldn't get through a minute and a half of it because it was so boring. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you have to be really real with yourself, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that when I've spoken to you before and heard you talk is perfecting your craft, whether it's creating videos, talking on a podcast, interacting with people. You can build up and become a content creator doing almost anything. It's just about pursuing that. Starting from Nick, what is your favorite piece of content that you've created in general?
Oh man, what is our favorite piece of content? Pretty much any of the skits that we have done so far on Locker have been a great time. Joe Lane, our videographer, writes some really good skits. And the series that we have, a 2-part series with Corey and Jordan so far, has been really funny.
Ron?
My favorite piece of content, I guess I have 2 answers for this. One is every video that I put out, I spend a lot of time on it. Like, it may not seem like it, but I really, when I put something out, I put my name on it. I want it to be the best that I can do. So it's like, I'm proud of every single video that I put out. Some are more popular than others. So that's kind of the mindset I have, is like constantly trying to like figure out the best way I can put a video out. So, I mean, one of the videos I put together, it's called Flow State, and it got like 1 million views. So that's super cool. It's my first viral video. I had no idea it was gonna have that kind of success. But when I first created it, I put a lot of time into it, and I made sure that it was the best thing I could do, and that's all I could do. And so, yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, one of my favorite pieces of content from you is the bungee video, where he just explains how to use a bungee. It's such a simple concept. You think you just attach it to the mouse, but he made a whole 3-minute long video making it more engaging. And I was like, oh wait, that actually makes sense why I should position it differently and test different things. It's like things you don't think about. So I really enjoy that one too.
Yeah, it's a mouse bungee is a simple device that holds your mouse cable from like tangling into itself and keeps it out of the way. But what was fun about it is it was just being silly with it, like figuring out how can I teach someone how to use a mouse bungee, or why is it useful, but kind of making it entertaining too. So it was a really fun video.
I have 2 answers as well. One is whenever I hit 100,000 subscribers, it was like 3 years ago or something. I spent a long time making those. This is when the Draw My Life videos were pretty popular. I made one of those and I spent a very long time on it. So pretty proud of that video. But also, I mean, we've talked about it a few times. We did throw a tournament here. It was an old Call of Duty game, Black Ops 2. I was very, very happy with that tournament. We ended up raising like $26,000 for charity. So it was a weekend event here. It was solely based on content, and I had a blast doing that. So those are probably my 2 favorites.
Awesome. As people being in the limelight, you're in the front facing of a community that's often a little bit more critical than others. What is some advice you could give to someone that's starting out and kind of getting some backlash or pushback, and how do you take criticism and take it in, and what do you get out of it? I know Ron touched upon it a little bit.
Yeah, just to add on to that, it did take me about like 10 years to get to this point where I was like ready. Again, like as a content creator, you have to be vulnerable. It's like when you're putting something out in the world, of course, you're gonna get criticism and judgment and feedback. And there's gonna be people out there that are negative. They're out there. There's nothing you can do about it. So, but you've got to be able to, don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. There's people out there, let them be. They're gonna say what they're gonna say. Don't let them stop you from creating the content you wanna create. Don't let them veer you off course. Kind of embrace that invulnerability, and if your intent is to create content that really provides value, and you feel like this is the best that I can do, that should be that'll get you through. You'll get results that way.
I've probably said this multiple times already, but I'm very influenced by like examples of other people and other people's success. So I mean, everyone's gonna like the content that they like and dislike the content that that they don't like. And some people are just very vocal about that. They're very ride or die with their favorite streamer, or they're very anti their least favorite streamer. So there's always people out there that are gonna say negative things, and you can't let that affect you, especially with how there's no consequences for saying that nowadays. So yeah, I just say just keep your. They're gonna try to weed you out, and you just gotta keep your head down and keep moving.
Yeah, I think they touched on it. There's going to be negative comments, right? You just have to kind of ignore the ones that aren't constructive and build off the ones that are constructive and use that to your advantage.
Cool. So what can we expect from you guys in the coming months in terms of content? Anything fun?
For us, it's just continue streaming, continue providing a place for people to come hang out and forget about things for a little while. We try to keep things fun and light and entertaining, and and we're always going to keep doing that, and then focus more on YouTube this year and collaborating a little bit more, and just keep it moving.
Cool. Ron?
Yeah, for me, it's continuing to create content. I love the process and the challenge of creating content. I'm still fairly new to it. It's been about 5 months, and I absolutely love it. From the very infant stages of that single idea, and then figuring out how I can shape and mold that idea and blossom into something that I'm proud of. So continuing to get better at the craft, video editing, storytelling, music, the whole process. I'm still learning. So yeah, just creating good content.
Yeah, at Esports Stadium, we have a lot of big events coming up. So, of course, on stadium side, you can expect a lot of content focused around those events, while on Locker, the kind of behind-the-scenes lifestyle stuff, as well as funny content.
Ron, are we going to get any CS:GO, Korean CS:GO history lessons on your YouTube channel by any chance?
CS:GO. Well, okay. So I moved to Korea in 2017. I was actually working marketing for about 3 years, and I just felt like I needed a change. So at that point, I was like, I've always wanted to move to Korea, and I wanted to get back in the competitive scene. So there was a perfect opportunity to move to Korea. I did that in 2017. I was getting paid like half, but it was like I had a place to stay in Korea, and I was teaching video games. It's like, So there's a step back career-wise, where there was this clear path where I could climb through the ladder, but I followed my passion, and it led into other opportunities. So, but yeah, the culture there, it's fantastic. I mean, they kind of started esports back before it was esports. They had organizations like government backing, they had stadiums. So being able to experience that firsthand was a phenomenal experience, a ton of fun, especially in just being around my heritage.
Davis, if you could collaborate with anyone in 2020, who would it be?
Why would you ask me that?
Because I want to know.
Man, anyone?
Anyone?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Wait, I'd love to eventually collab with somebody outside of gaming. I've collabed with a lot of people in gaming, and it's always a lot of fun to mesh each other's supporter base. But my buddies did like a pro-am tournament, and one of my friends, Formal, got to play with T-Pain. So I feel like playing with like a big name celebrity would be a lot of fun, just to see what their outlook is on gaming and stuff. So there's my cop-out answer.
You could have just said Drake, and I've been okay with that. All right, so we're going to open up the panel to a QA. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to step up, and our panelists will fire away.
Hello, my name's Josh. I'm the CS:GO captain for University of Colorado, and I have a specific question for Ron. So for someone who wants to step into coaching, or for CS:GO or any other game, what would you recommend is a good start or a good path to get to an amateur, semi-pro level of coaching?
Yeah, I think the entry level and part of the staff side is an analyst. So if you can find a job as an assistant coach or an analyst, providing scouting reports for teams, or helping, find nades or create mini strats or watch demos, figure out a way how you can be useful to a team, and figure out, what value can you bring to a team, prepare, right? That's the approach if you're not a player. The easiest transition is go from player to coach. But if you don't have player ability, then you got to figure out how you can help them outside of the game. So figuring out what your interests are, what you're good at, and being able to contact the teams that you want to work for and be able to express to them the value you bring. Like, here are my strengths, here's how I want to help you, here's a scouting report, here's, I watched 3 demos, I watched 3 demos of you, here's some tendencies and weaknesses I see. So actually putting that time in and being able to showcase that. Yeah.
So this may kind of fall outside of your arena, but I've been kind of curiously watching the streamer platform wars. Twitch is losing big streamers. But what I found interesting is that a lot of these are moving toward Facebook. So what are you seeing in the landscape that is making Facebook this more attractive option than a Twitch?
I think it's all longevity, really. I mean, I have a few buddies that went over to Facebook. You know, for a long time, Twitch was the only thing you could stream on. Then YouTube integrated some streaming stuff, but Twitch was where all of the fan base and all the, like, if you wanted any sort of cross, supporter base, you'd go on Twitch. If their favorite streamer was done, they would watch you if you happened to be right under them. But now, so Twitch wasn't paying people to stream on their platform, and then all these other companies started making streaming platforms for them to stream on. So that's why you see some people going to Mixer and Facebook. The thing with Facebook is everyone thinks that YouTube videos are what get the most views, but Facebook videos have also been getting crazy views for a very, very long time, and it's also a great way to pitch your views to sponsors as well. So I think they're trying to do the same thing with streaming, just hopefully, everyone goes on Facebook every once in a while, and if right there in the corner you can see somebody streaming and all you have to do is click on it, you're going to get a lot of clicks that way. So I think that's pretty much where everyone's coming from.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Jacob Miles with Map Esports Network. Content has come a long way in the last 2 or 3 years. Where do you see it going? Where do you see changes that you're going to have to do to kind of keep ahead of all the new folks coming into content?
I think, content is, this is straight from Gary Vee, but content, it's like, it's attention. When you create content, you're getting people's attention. And there's all these different services and platforms now where you could do that, like Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, like every company's recognizing they're trying to get in the content game. And I think the beautiful thing about content is that there is no gap. There's infinite amount of space for anyone to create content, because like that whole cliche of like everyone is unique and everyone has something special to offer. When I have an idea, it might be completely different from his ideas, and his videos are gonna be different from mine, even though it's the same idea. So there's this unlimited space available for content creators.
Hello guys, my name is Luis. I was an intern here at the stadium during the summer, so this was actually an event that we helped put on, so thank you guys for speaking. My question's for Hitch. I've been following you since your UMG days, so I'd love for you to touch, for the people that are unfamiliar of your story, kind of what were the risks that you had to take to get to the position that you're in right now?
I guess they were risks, we can call them that, but it was also, I knew I wasn't going to stop until I got a job, until I got myself into esports and into creating some sort of content. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I could have been anything from, a YouTuber to a dude carrying water bottles for pro players. I just wanted to be in at some point. So, risks, I stopped going to school. I couldn't handle school anymore because all I was thinking about was this. I was working part-time and just going home and making videos and trying to help out people in any way that I could. But yeah, I don't know if I feel like I got lucky, or some doors opened for me and I just sprinted through them. There are a lot of people out there that took major risks, and luckily I was young enough and dumb enough where I was able to just do it right away. So
Yeah, I think that's super cool how you found this like relentless passion early on, and no matter what, you're going to make it happen. And then with that passion also comes with luck, where there's some networking involved, like meeting the right people, the right places. So if you have passion and you're networking and you're meeting people and you're being friendly, you're providing value, that's going to open up all the doors you would need, to get in. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Zach. I'm a member of the media team at the OU Esports Club. What you said, it's all about attention. People's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. What do you think is the best way to like keep their attention without necessarily like overwhelming them?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear that well.
Sorry. What's the best way to keep someone's attention without maybe overwhelming them with too much like information or anything?
Yeah, I think something on the esports locker and esports stadium side that we've really tried to focus on is keeping our content shorter, so that we aren't overwhelming the viewer with a super long video. We've kind of gone away from that for a couple videos, but I think like our UNT documentary for CRL was a much longer video than our other content, but that was because it told a story throughout, so the viewer was kind of on that journey throughout. But some of the other content, we keep it shorter so that they don't lose attention throughout.
Yeah, for me, since I focus my content on educational and informational stuff, I have to be very select with the words I use. When I say something, I want to make sure it's the right message. I don't like filler gaps. So being really intentional with the words I use and the message. And then storyboarding or sequencing it in a way that people can follow along and understand it. So kind of the process is I start with an idea, think about all the things I want to say, and then make it as short and concise as possible, and then putting in a certain order that engages them and helps them follow along.
yeah, about the same. I would have just repeated them.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for everyone who showed up and asked questions. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys for answering our questions and explaining to us what it means to be a content creator and how you guys got started. And hope to see great things from you guys in 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you.